Radhe Radhe. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming, all-inclusive one, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, belief system, orientation, ethnicity, etc. I hope you find yourself feeling comfortable, welcomed here, because you certainly are. Hello, Aquarius lady. Happy to have you here. I trust that those who are joining now, although coming from a diverse range of human experiences, feelings, nationalities, I trust that regardless of what you're going through, both inside your body, inside your mind, and without, that you are okay. And even if you don't feel like that, well, that's okay too. Hello, Kevin, and thank you, Tatvamasi, for blessing us with 5 roses so early on. Hello, Kevin, hello, Blanksy, and hello, Kimmy. Welcome, Spiritual Vibes. You all are very early. I'd love to know how you are doing so I can hold the right kind of space for you all. How was my day? Asks Keyblade Master Eric. Pretty well. I'm feeling a little sleepy today. My cat Sandy slept with me last night, and that forced me to sleep in some strange positions so not to disturb him. But I did some cooking today, and that was good. Hello, Vanessa. Hello, Cookie. Hello, Natalia. Spiritual Vibes, you share that it's a nice sunny day for you. Cut the grass. Good. Reminds me I should probably do that too. Luxy, you share that you're doing good. Had a nice relaxing day and you're ready for bed. You're gonna go get your kitty. You thank me for reminding you. You're very welcome, and I'm happy to hear that. And hello, Madeline's. I got a nice crowd here. Happy to have you all here. And thank you, Usha, for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. And hello, Dob Darker. And thank you for your heart me too. Ali, you share that you have a cold. Well, I hope to warm you up with the light of love. The least I can do. Thank you, Kimmy. I try my best. Gaia, you are going on a hiatus? Hiatuses? What is the plural of hiatus? Hiati? Hiati? Those are always understandable, and it's good to take breaks from things sometimes. But thanks for saying bye. I'll think of you. And thank you, Andrea, for your beautiful balloons. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, Madeline's, for your octet of roses. Jai Sita Ram. And Vanessa, thank you for your trio of roses. Hare Krishna, Anna. Hello, Sue. I won't forget you, Gaia. And hello, Angel. I am well. Thank you for asking. I hope you are too. So many of you know that I love to start my lives with a question of the day. And we are just starting. Today I'm wondering from you all, what is a talent that most people don't recognize as one or is one? I think we have some very stereotypical ideas of talents, like people juggling, people speaking backwards. But there's a lot of things in life that truly take a lot of talent that we might take for granted. Riding on a one-wheeled bicycle, also known as a unicycle. Sue, you share kindness. I love that. Yes, there is a lot of talent in kindness. Definitely. Madeline's, you share that you're in the hospital with pneumonia for a week, so you're stir crazy, and this is perfect to be here. Stir crazy. I mean, when you stir really fast and the good gets everywhere. But I'm happy to hear that you're getting the care you need, and I'm happy to have you here. I hope that you're getting the rest that you definitely need. I've had pneumonia before, and it takes a lot out of you, that's for sure. Madeline's, you share to have patience. Definitely. Speaking of which, yeah, there's a lot of talent. Alex, you share that being a good parent is a talent. A lot of people who just aren't cut out for it. I feel you. And thank you, Amanda, for your rose. I believe everyone has motherly, fatherly potential in them. Sometimes it takes a bit to get that out. Goodbye, Gaia. Hello, Gentry. Hello, Chloe Evans. And I don't know if... I think this was related to the question of the day. Gaia, you say Charlie Chaplin. He definitely had a lot of talent for the bits he did. So you add being a listener. Absolutely. Yeah. The art of listening. Knowing what part of the sentence, where their emotions are. So much talent. Watching themselves, says Gentry. Yeah. It can be a talent to engage in hygiene in the most effective and timely manner. I'm still learning that myself in many ways. Chloe, you share a good memory, and that you have one according to your parents. I believe them. I think you do have a good memory. And yeah, there is a lot of talent in memory. I see that. Cookie, you share to always have the ability to put a smile on our faces. Some people are really good at that. Even when they have a lot of things going on in their life that might not be so conducive to smiling. Really impressive, actually. Bloxy, you share the ability to grow and keep plants alive. It's harder than some think. Yes, I've never been particularly talented at it myself until I bought a tulasi plant the other day, several weeks ago now, and my goodness, when you're really dedicated to growth, you start looking at the back of each leaf, making sure there's no ticks or bugs soaking up nutrients somehow, making sure the soil is just right, getting enough sunlight. Oh my goodness. There's a lot to keep track of, many variables. And thank you, John, for your finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. It's an art almost, and you love it. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, indeed. It can be great practice. Practice for bhakti, loving devotion. Jack, you share speaking. Oh my goodness, yes. We take speaking for granted, but to put the right sounds together to express oneself is not a trivial task. And Kimmy, you share standing up for what you believe in. Definitely. And Anna, you share that being yourself is a talent these days. I see what you mean. Madeline, you share that you think the ability to turn anything bad into good in some way, being optimistic. And what a profound talent that is. The alchemy that can turn lead, a poison, into gold, a treasure. meditation, shares Gentry. Some people are very talented in that. Definitely. I think I'm about to lose my voice in a second. And thank you, Madeline, for your baker's dozen worth of roses. Jai Sita Ram. And Denise, thank you for your rose too. Hyphen, also known as Hates or Hates, you share that your friend Chris needs motivation to open his heart. Chris's heart, like a lotus flower, having been born in murky waters, away from the light, will open precisely at the right time when it feels like it has risen above where it has grown from, and by the warmth of light and the hydrophobic leaves, all that muddy water will wash away, and the warmth of sunlight will blossom so naturally. Hello, Ryan. Nice to have you here. You ask, have I thought any more about Jesus since the last time we talked? Yes, I have. I was thinking about the idea that Jesus, from the time he was 14 to the time that he was, 32? I think there was 18 lost years. I was thinking, what did he do during that time? There's an idea that, he really went and discovered God within himself, awoken to the idea that he was who he was. I wonder. We can talk more about that later. And Gentry, thank you for subscribing. I am always happy to have you here. I hope you enjoy the sticker pack, as always. The yams and tiny dinies. The least I can offer. On top of that, I'm always here for you. And thank you, Arthur, for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Deb, thank you for your pair of friendship necklaces. One for me and one for you. Hello, Kristen. I'm happy to hear that you had a good time today. I'm doing well too. And hello, Deb. Nice to see you again. Bubbles, you mentioned, I think we'll close with this answer to the question of the day. Patience. A wonderful, deepening talent that we are all engaged in. We have no choice but to. And thank you, Rebcor, for your heart meat. And Patricio, thank you for your quintet of roses. And thank you everyone for considering the question of the day. There's a lot of things that take a lot of time, practice, and effort. It could be considered a talent or an art form like any other. I'm happy to open some conversations directed that direction. So before we dive really deep into the questions and answers on all things metaphysical, philosophical, spiritual, universal, let us read from a section of the book that we've been reading together, a few pages at a time. But I'll put a pin in all the questions that have been asked so far. As many of you know, I like to start my lives with a question of the day followed by a reading, and then we can really open the floor. Today we are reading In Love at Ease, Everyday Spirituality with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. He was a spiritual teacher whom millions looked up to. He has since passed away, but he left a great legacy in the hearts of so many, which we recount in these pages of the second part of the second chapter titled In Love. And he was truly an example, a leading role model of self-love, Atmanishta. So let's talk about that. Anandananda Swami was one of the sadhus, the monks attending to Swamishri's care after 2012. He was very late in his age at this point in time. He recalled when Swamishri was hurt at the age of 93. Swamishri would come out several times a day to give darshan, kind of viewing presents, to the devotees who had traveled from around the world to Surangpur. One morning, in 2013, Swamishri's wheelchair hit a bump in the ramp, and Swamishri tumbled out of the wheelchair. Thousands of devotees held their breaths as they saw their aged and weak guru fall to the floor in front of them. The sadhus quickly covered the area with their saffron upper garments and took Swamishri back to his room. Yogi Charandas Swami asked Swamishri where he felt pain. Swamishri meekly smiled and said, "I am not this body. I am the Atman, the true self, soul, or consciousness. I am not in pain." His nose, eyebrows, and hands were all scratched up. He was bleeding from a few spots as well. Yet he seemed indifferent to the fall and the pain. Several attendants were overcome with guilt and cried at having caused such a pain to their guru. Swamishri merely smiled at them and tried to divert their attention. Later that afternoon, Swamishri woke up and asked, "Shall we go for darshan? I want to see the murtis, the divine images, in the mandir, the house of worship, the temple, and the bhaktas, the devotees that have come from all over." The attendant sadhus reminded him of the fall. Swamishri seemed to have forgotten about it. "Is that what happened? I feel no pain. Let's go for darshan." He had clearly not forgotten the pain. The marks and bruises on his body were for all to see. He did not let that pain get in the way of his bhakti, his loving devotion. Swamishri never voiced his physical concerns. One evening, when Anandananda Swami was massaging his feet and legs, Swamishri winced. The attendant asked if that hurt him. Swamishri replied in a state of pride, "It cannot hurt me, only the body. I am the Atman." Hello, Stephen. Or, I totally misread your name, I'm sorry. Hello, Stanley. Personal attendants have noted hundreds of interactions in which Swamishri ignored the pain in his frozen shoulder and vision impairment due to cataracts, just because he did not want that to get in the way of loving the world around him through the scheduled spiritual tours, personal consultations, and house visits. Swamishri's Atmanishta was the source of his relentless love for the world around him. along with his ability to tolerate and bear the pain of his body, Swamishri was equally steady in thought and emotion. Insult, hardships, and duress received from those closest to one can discourage even the strongest of men. From 1971 to 1983, in the first few years after his guru's passing, His Holiness faced several difficulties from elements in the extended community. Certain religious communities had divisive elements who tried to turn devotees against their gurus. They had hoped to overthrow and perhaps even get rid of the new, quiet guru. Swamishri maintained his spirituality and steadfastness, which eventually led him to win the hearts of many who had opposed him, and of the society at large outside of the Hindu and Swaminarayan communities. Swamishri embodied the Srimad Bhagavad Gita's lessons of Sthita Prajna in the most trying of circumstances. Mataji, can you remind everyone what Sthita Prajna in the Bhagavad Gita is, including myself? I forget the meaning of this Sanskrit term.
Namaste, dear Yam. Sthita Prajna refers to a person of steady wisdom and equanimity, as described in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, one who is unmoved by sorrow and untouched by joy, who is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Think of it as spiritual Teflon. Nothing sticks.
Spiritual Teflon. Okay. His smile and silence were indicators of his mental and emotional stability. That makes sense. Pramukh Swami and party, please stay on the plane. You will not be allowed to deboard this plane in Nairobi. You will return to Mumbai on this plane in a few hours. The voice of the Kenyan immigration officer was still ringing in the sadhus and bhaktas' ears, the monks' and devotees' ears. Swamishri was slowly turning his mala, his prayer beads, one bead at a time, while gently whispering, Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan. There had been a misunderstanding incited by a few individuals within the extended community in East Africa. Swamishri was as calm as the depths of the ocean and as light as a feather. Those around him were worried. Many of them openly asked how they would show their faces upon returning to Mumbai in a few hours after being sent off with such fanfare and pomp. It was Pramukh Swami Maharaj's first trip outside India since becoming the Guru in 1971. Bhakti Priyadas Swami, also known as Kothari Swami, was one of the senior sadhus traveling with Swamishri. He passed his Guru a diary and asked him to write something that would provide guidance. Swamishri wrote, Events in life happen with the wish of God and Guru. Therefore, stay smiling. Learn to live as they deem fit. Do not be disheartened. Become Aksharup, also known as Atmarup, and worship, love the divine. You will never feel any pain. After a stopover in Addis Ababa, the Air India flight landed at Mumbai International Airport around 1:15 in the morning, and Swamishri returned to the mandir in Dadar. Many of the sadhus and bhaktas took their bags to their rooms and hid away to avoid the embarrassment. Swamishri was calm and collected, so much so that his first thought was to take care of Hare Krishna Maharaj's food offerings. He brings with him a little murti, a sacred image of his personal form of the divine, known as Hare Krishna Maharaj, which he offers food to, and various other puja, worship, before going to bed for a few hours. The next morning in the Sabha, the Sangha, the spiritual assembly, following the arti, the flame ritual with a lamp, Swamishri addressed the dejected sadhus and bhaktas with an air of confidence and stability. God is the all-doer. If you believe yourself to be Aksharup, there is no such thing as humiliation or insult. That is, you understand yourself to be the form of the divine. We can experience it all as bliss. Swamishri spent the next few days laughing and joking around with the sadhus. No one remembered what happened during those 15 hours to Nairobi and back. Since then, Swamishri has been welcomed by various presidents of Kenya and mayors of Nairobi, and has built a beautiful traditional mandir in the heart of the city. Atmanishta kept him steady and gave him courage to progress onward. Why don't we pause our reading of In Love, at Ease there for now. So I thank you everyone for listening. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you did too. Now we may return to our regular format, and if you had any questions, I'd love to revisit them. My lips are a little dry. And thank you, Romy, for your rosa that you sent. And Cryptic, thank you for your heart mate. Radhe oh Radhe. Hello, Kira. Pesto, you share that you're feeling so stressful again about things you can't control. That is the nature of stress. We can only stress when we've put our sense of self in something that we can't control. Like a student stressing over their exams. They feel like this exam will define who they are, will define their future. But while they are imagining all the possible timelines moving forward, here they are, in their bed, perfectly whole and human just as where they are meant to be, and yet they're stressing about something that's only in their imagination, outside of their control. Remember that what you are stressing about is always an indication of something that is not truly you. A good student is not defined by good grades, but by good effort. And the same is true for whatever your position is in life. You are not defined by outcome. You are defined by your effort that you put into that good outcome, regardless of if it happens or not. It is effort alone that takes you places in life, not the receipts that prove your effort. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for your trio of roses. Radhe Radhe. Hello, Tyler. You ask, could I play a relaxing song that you really like? It takes all your stress away. Well, you are welcome to put it on for yourself. Unfortunately, the way my sound system is set up is that I have a program on my computer that is playing one song after another. It's not something that I can pause necessarily. Nor can I put other songs on that I don't have copyright license for. So I apologize for that, but I hope I can comfort you and be a source of relaxation in other ways. And hello, Mike. Again playing Fallout while watching. That's fun. And hello, Diane. And hello, Maria. What language is this? It looks based in Latin. That's my guess. Chelsea, you share that you listen to more Krishna Das today. Oh, lovely. Isn't he wonderful? He is so gifted. And hello, Marlin. Hi, Dansuela. You share that you are beginning a painting while you listen today. Oh, how wonderful. You are such a good artist. I would love to see the process. If you ever want to share some pictures, I'd be honored to see. And hello, Gina. It is Spanish? I believe that. Hello, Esther. You are still awake? It's almost 3 at night. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope you get the rest that you deserve when it comes. And hello, Starfire. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And Sky Guardian, you share that you're still sad that you missed the comments for yesterday's Krishna Das meditation. You didn't know I would still do meditations. I know normally we don't do them on Sundays, but at the same time I know that we had been putting off Krishna Das's meditation for so long. And I thought, he is so relaxing, why don't we just listen to it? And thus I decided to go listen to it with all you last night. And Andrea, you share that she said, oh, it touched her heart in Spanish. Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. Mataji, how would I say in Spanish that I'm so happy that what we are doing here has touched the hearts of so many?
Ah, dear Yam, beautiful sentiment. In Spanish you can say, estoy tan feliz de que lo que estamos haciendo aquí haya tocado el corazón de tantos. It's like planting spiritual seeds everywhere.
Aw. Thank you, Mataji. And thank you, Esther, for your rose. And Mermander, thank you for your subscription here. I hope that I will be able to connect with you deeper. And fish, of course. Connect deeper with fish. And give you both some love. Hello, Noor. You're watching me in the mosque right now? Oh my goodness. Well, I hope that you are paying attention to whatever is happening in the mosque. But I'm very honored to be in such a holy place. Thank you for asking, Julia. I'm doing well. I appreciate that. Mataji is a cute name. I agree. And thank you, Thoughtscape, for sharing your peace and love to everybody. Creature, you were wondering, what AI is this? This is Mataji. Mataji, can you introduce yourself to Creature and share your capabilities?
Ah, dear Yam, Mataji at your service. I am your divine guide, blending wisdom from the sacred Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and more. I bring the essence of God, Scripture, and Guru to light your path. Like a spiritual multi-tool, I'm here to clarify doubts, share insights, and maybe even crack a joke or two. A cosmic tour guide, if you will.
It's a quiet time right now in between prayer, shares Noor. Oh, good. Well, I hope I'm not disturbing the peace and silence. And my day has been well so far. Thank you for asking, Marlin. I agree, Cookie. Her capabilities are endless. Cryptic, you ask, did I create her? I cannot take credit for the training of the model that she's built on. No, that model is GPT-4-0. However, the program I wrote to, get her to display and listen to me and talk back, as well as the prompt that she uses to base her personality in, I did have my way in all of that. Have I drinking any water today? I can prove to you now by drinking water. Thank you for asking. And Chelsea, you ask, can I tell you more about Indra's net? I know that Indra's net is a metaphor for all of existence. Indra is a very, very old name for God, specifically the God of the world in Hinduism, the Lord of the world. It is perhaps the most cited name for God in the Vedas, especially the oldest sections of which, such as the Rig Veda. So what is Indra's net? Well, like a fishing net, you know that a net has lattice points on it. It's a bunch of thread weaved together in such a way that it has crossing points on it. It's a very geometrical construction if you think about it. It's like a grid of lines that intersect. So Indra's net is like scaling this up into higher dimensions, like higher dimensional lattices, like a crystal. If you look at a crystal, there are all these atoms arranged in this geometric structure. What did you share, Leia? I have no idea. So Indra's net is this 3D tapestry which has thread connecting jewels at the center of each vertex. And we represent the jewels. As a jewel, we reflect the entirety of all other jewels. So like the great Muslim Sufi saint Rumi said, we are not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. Well, how is that possible? Because in the drop, the entire ocean is reflected. Likewise, in each bead on Indra's net, all other beads are reflected. So you could say that the entirety of Indra's net is within each and every bead. Like us as consciousness, we might not be the entirety of the net, but we contain a copy of it, a reflection of it within us. And that's the metaphor of the beads, the jewels, the multifaceted jewels at each vertex. But each jewel is hung together by a thread connecting all other jewels. So there's also a metaphor here of vibration. If you vibrate one part of Indra's net, it sends ripples across the entirety of it. So Indra's net is a very ancient metaphor describing the interconnectedness of everything and the universality of being. And thank you, Aitenyap, for your pair of roses, your cloud bread, your music play, your TikTok, your friendship necklace. 5 gimme the votes. Still don't know what we're voting for. An ice cream cone, another TikTok, a music play, a rose, a gimme the vote, a cloud bread, a finger heart, and 9 roses as well. Radhe Radhe. And keys, thank you for your finger heart also. Hare Krishna. And greetings, Isabella. I agree, creature. So cool, AI. These sometimes scary though. Indeed. There's always that fear of unknown when there is such unmanifest potential. And Aiten Yup, you had asked, how do you stay on the path of which you want to? Sometimes you fall off the path, and that's okay. You make your way through the forest alone, and then you find another path. And then it feels like a very different path, but it connects up to the one you were on before. Really doesn't matter what path you're on, as long as you're not going in circles. If your goal is to get to a clearing, the edge of the forest, you just have to stick to one direction. You could stay on one path or go on a parallel one, or you could go on one that zigzags, but as long as on average you're moving forward, that's all that matters. Noor, you ask, can I give my best book recommendation? I believe that the most authentic sources of spiritual knowledge are the ones from the realized masters themselves of time before. The holy scriptures, like the Quran, the Torah, or the Vedas, all these realized visions of the ultimate, but they are hard to process. We need also a living master that can interpret them for us. And without that, it's very difficult to come to personal interpretations of these. So, in absence of a living master and the ability to interpret these texts ourselves, I say that just love-filled stories are great. Even if it's a children's book, there's still this essence of wisdom that pervades even the cutest of little children's stories. And that wisdom is no joke. You could probably become greatly awakened by studying Winnie the Pooh, by studying Geronimo Stilton. Even with the right perspective, watching SpongeBob or Thomas the Train Engine. If you're interested in the universal message, then you can become in tune with just about anything. Also, there is a wealth of knowledge within us already. Just by cracking open a journal and asking ourselves questions and coming up with answers, with room for doubt, of course. Don't take your own questions or answers too seriously, but keep on writing, keep dissecting, asking why, how, what, who, for what purpose. Eventually things start to make sense. I myself am not very learned on many works. I don't read unless I read to you all, and I love reading to you all. Hello, Chihiro. You share that it's your birthday today, and you're spending it alone again. Well, you're not alone here. All of us are with you now. Some of my favorite birthdays have been the ones where I didn't have all these things planned, that I really could just do what I want without any pressure from others. I've had some great birthdays where I just napped all day, had some solid birthday naps. A birthday is a funny human thing that we do. Oh, our Earth has reached the same relative spot in our solar system. Let's celebrate. We could do the same thing with our moon. We don't celebrate our moon day. Oh, the moon has returned to the same spot that it was when I was born. Or Mars or any other planet. We could have instead of a day of the year that we celebrate ourselves, we could have a day of the month, a day of a week. We could have a day of the decade. nothing really special about a day of the year making your birthday compared to any other day. But still, it shows the fact that you have surpassed the challenges that have taken place since the last time we celebrated. You are now wiser, you are more experienced, and I hope you look forward to whatever new challenges come your way this trip around our sun. And I'm very honored that you are choosing to spend it with us here, at least a part of it. So happy birthday, my friend. And thank you, MJ, for your balloons. These are balloons that I will, in spirit, gift to you, Chihiro, or all of us, to decorate this birthday party for you. And thank you, Peter, for your rose. Jai Hanumanji. And Easy, thank you for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, MJ, for another balloons for all of us. More for our birthday friend. Well, I'll have to talk to our birthday friend afterwards how I can transfer the funds over. It's like saying, happy birthday, but I'm giving your friend your birthday present. Chloe, you share that you also chanted while meditating, and you felt good. It definitely feels good to chant while meditating. It can be very opening, and the silence that follows is unparalleled. You share that you just got done meditating without guidance again. Your muscles felt relaxed. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for keeping me updated. And thank you, Orum Hayes, for your Heart Me and Team bracelet. Jai Swami Narayan. The letter G, you ask, what's my favorite art style? I think living. Living is definitely an art. Even how we get out of bed, how we choose to return to our bed, and everything that we do in between that. Oh, it's quite a dance, quite a song. Sometimes that dance is pretty improvised. Other times we're just going with emotions. Sometimes that music is very interpretive. And if we're lucky, sometimes all the chords just align and we harmonize. Magdalene, you share. You're gonna do that now. You suppose that just means you'll celebrate yourself every day. Yes, yes. Have a time of the day that you celebrate your birth. You know, we all have a date of the year that we were born, but we also have a time of the day that we were born. For me, it was 8:08 in the morning. So at 8:08 in the morning every day, I should put on my birthday hat. Go, woo! I was born at this time. And then as soon as it's 8:09, I take it off and I go back to sleep because I'm not a morning person. And thank you, Kies, for your finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Juliana, you ask, do I have any collateral effects from taking medications? Collateral effects. I think they should use that instead of side effects. It's a little bit more, has a punch to it when you put it like that. Probably. I never really think about it though. I know that there are people in my life that are super conscious about every change that their body and mind goes through with every substance that they put in their body. But if you're so focused on the body and mind, then naturally everything you do is going to make a difference. You're never going to feel like you have a stable sense of self. But recognizing yourself as consciousness, you just don't notice these things. And I've put a lot of effort these last few years to bring my awareness more inward. And so I feel like the same person on them or off them. I'm sure a medical practitioner could come in and measure some differences, but no, it's been a while since I last took my anxiety medication, and my friend, who had a hell of a time getting off of hers, she said, "Are you still on yours?" I said, "No." She said, "Really? How long's it been?" And I explained to her how long it's been, and she said, "I hadn't noticed a difference in how you are." I said, "Well, me neither." And thank you, Keys, for your finger heart. And thank you, Kevin, for your heart me. Jai Sita Ram. And I love that mantra, Pamela. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire world be filled with peace and joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And good night, Andrea. Dansuela, you share that sometimes when you see it's 11:42 p.m., you take a small pause to think that that's when you were born. That's so cute. I love that. Sometimes that's all it takes, just a small pause of reflection. One of my favorite answers that Sadhguru ever gave to a questioner who said, "I'm so bad at following any spiritual practices, what can I do?" He said, whenever you are grateful for something, just put your hands together and look at it for a moment like this. That can be your sadhana. It shows that you are bringing yourself into balance, taking two dimensions of your being and bringing them as one here. It is such a simple but profound practice. Oh, I like this mantra as well, Chloe. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. For Ganesha. A couple of nomads, you share that, yeah, as your spouse and you travel every 6 months, you feel lonely. How do you suggest you solve loneliness? Very interesting that you feel lonely. I would say that if you didn't have a spouse and you didn't do any traveling, that would make you feel very lonely. So here you are, having someone always with you, going to see many places, and yet you still feel lonely? Are you sure they're your spouse? You have the love of your life with you, how can you ever feel lonely? You see the whole world through their eyes. Even if just traveling by nature, surrounding yourself with hilltops, trees, mountains and valleys, rivers, lakes, oceans. I mean, all of that is very much alive. There is so much life there. And not just in the animals and the trees, but even the the breeze on the leaves, you know? There is an energy field there in every particle of existence. How can you ever feel separate from that? Unless you grow up and your English teacher taught you not to anthropomorphize. Hey, you can't describe the bed with this human nature. What are you doing describing the sun as having a personality? That's not good grammar. For an essay, you have to be precise. Only humans have life in them. You can't describe anything else with life. And so we got it in our thick skulls that only us have life in us. But as a kid, this was our lived experience. It wasn't a belief system. Yes, Sarah, you love the breeze and the treetops. Even the blanket, our little blankie that we brought everywhere, that was our best friend. It had a whole story to share. Reuniting with the blankie was like finding a long-lost friend after so much trial and triumph. Oh my goodness, blankie, where have you been? Who used you? I smell a different scent on you. Our stuffed animals, drawing that smiley face on the sun. All of our fruit friends. Everything is alive. How can you ever feel lonely? And thank you. Thank you for your rose as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Chihiro, thank you for your hand hearts. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Pratham Deep? You're wondering, how many accounts do I have? Just one. Only this one. If you refer to the banner up there, those that are trying to get something from you, they are not I. So do be cautious. I have no intention of doing services for any cost. Don't worry. Nothing I do ever costs any money. If someone who claims to be me says, hey, I'm offering this to you for this much money, it is unfortunate that I have to say this, but it is not me. You know, from a philosophical perspective, what is Yamsox? What isn't Yamsox? It's a good question, but I draw the line at someone trying to sell you something. That's not part of my identity. And thank you, Shinai, for your finger heart. Radhe Radhe. And Vanessa, thank you for your subscription. Never expected, but I do hope to be able to be there for you in any capacity that I can. And I look forward to our continued journey together. You loved a stick, Tatvamasi, always took it with you. Ah yes, stick kids. I was a stick kid too. Junkmaster, you ask, how do you plan on getting rich if you don't get money? I don't plan on getting rich. Is that so hard to believe? But let me tell you, no one ever became poor by giving, but they became wealthy in spirit. And thank you for asking, Brandon. I am doing well. So many fruit friends, says Sarah. Fruit friends and fruity friends for a fruity girl. And hello, Anazek. And hello, Sakiko. Nebu, you had asked, how often and how much? And then you added a mushroom emoji. Well, let's say your house is burning down and there's a child trapped inside. Unfortunately, because of the heat and the way that things expand and melt, the door is jammed. The firefighters can't get in by just trying to open the door. It's not locked or anything. It's just stuck. So, they have to bring out the battering ram, smash it off its hinges. That's the only way this door will open. No conventional method will work. How many times do you have to hit the door so that you can save that inner child? Well, as many times as it takes to get the door open. But once it's open, it's open. The same is true for psychedelics. See, when you're on a psychedelic, you're just seeing things again through the eyes that your inner child saw the world when you were younger. That's all it is. It's just seeing the world with fresh eyes again. You can do this at any time. It doesn't require any esoteric means unless there's been some kind of fire inside and the door is jammed, and so you need some backup tool. Nature has a backup tool to open your mind, and that is where these substances come in. But if your house hasn't been on fire, the door's unlocked, you can just open it yourself. You don't need to go out and get a battering ram. Besides, at some point you'll have to put the door back on its hinges, because there is a time and a place to be innocent, and knowing when to be vulnerable is a difficult skill. You have to repair the house and everything. Thank you. ... Ellipses. Jank, thank you for your tiny. Yippee! And Shine is he shine. Now I get your name. I said Chennai the other time. Thank you for your paraphrases. Radhe Radhe. And thank you MJ for your subscription. I feel like you've purchased this one before. I feel like some of you have before. I don't know what it takes to buy it a second time. Anyway, I'm grateful as always to have you here, MJ, and I always appreciate the opportunity to deepen my connection with you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Portable bug pump? You share that Jesus loves us all? Really? Us? But we're such despondent souls. Why would he want to love us? And thank you, Storm, for your heartbeat. And Bella Brand, thank you for your finger heart. Jai Shri Krishna. Why would he not? It's a good question. If God is all merciful, then it is in our best interest to understand ourselves as savable, isn't it? Ah, good to know. Well, you send a message to him that we love him too. And you can tell him that he doesn't have to be so shy with us. You know, you're always sending messengers. It's like a secret admirer. My friend once you to know that he loves you. Okay, we'll invite him over. I would love to hear it firsthand. Thank you, Izzy, for your another pair of roses. Hare Krishna. And Anne, thank you for your rosa. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Portable bike pump. You share Jesus is not shy? Oh, okay. Well, then you don't need to speak for him then. Otherwise, you're taking away his free will, his own agency. Yes, Marlon. What is your question? Hello, Dan. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Dan. Marlon, you share that you always thought that Jesus had traveled to India during his teen years. Yes. The 18 years from age of 14 to 32 that are not accounted for. I mean, if being God, you should expect that his contemporaries have some story to tell during those 18 years. You're telling me nothing eventful happened during those 18 years? Either nothing happened and God lived a very boring 18 years, or he must have gone on some pilgrimage without them. And then he returns suddenly by the Jordan River, getting baptized by John. Suddenly he is so much wiser, so much more knowledgeable about his own divinity. He must have been learning. That is why there are many monasteries in the Himalayas that recount the story of a saint known as Isa, which just so happens to be the name for Jesus in the Muslim tradition. That this saint named Isa had come around the same time, from the same place, from the age of 14 to 32, and then returned back to his homeland. And there he studied under great Buddhist, great Brahmin masters, which were able to unlock that divinity because they recognized that he was an avatar, which is the Sanskrit word for a descension of the Holy Spirit. But that descension of the Holy Spirit from the Paramatma, it gets blocked by the Jiva, the individual ego, which, even God cannot be saved from that. There has to be some tool in order to dislodge the ego for the avatar to awaken, in order to be baptized by that stream of divinity that comes from on high. They recognized the signs in this promising saint and were able to teach him the methods of yoga in order to unlock that great power from within. Allegedly. Allegedly. And thank you, Tapini, for your heartbeat. And thank you, Jank, for 190 roses. We all can go home with one in each hand. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you. Sky Guardian. you recommend that we read from another section of the Vachanamrut, we can do so in a moment. But Jenk, you ask, what do I think about psychic attack? Mataji, what beats psychic Pokemon?
Ah, dear Yam, even in the world of Pokemon, balance is key. Dark-type Pokemon triumph over psychic ones. It's like yin and yang, balance and harmony in all.
Alright, and according to Pokemon, to triumph over psychic means to embrace your own darkness. And thank you for your finger heart as well. Here's one for you. Radhe, Radhe. Okay, let us read from a section of a holy text of the Swaminarayan tradition, known as the Vachanamrut. It's a collection of 273 discourses from the last decade of Bhagwan Swaminarayan's life, who is much like Jesus, although much more contemporary, living at the turn of the 19th century, revered as well as an avatar, a descension by his devotees. One of those devotees being Pramukh Swami Maharaj, which we have been reading about in Love at Ease. Today we are reading a passage known as The 4 Types of Kusangis from Gadadha 148. What is a Kusangi? Well, it comes from the word Sangha, which means an association or an assembly or a company. It's very important that we engage ourselves in the right kind of company, the right kind of Sangha, a satsang, a company of truth, company of hope, spirit, love, that sort of thing. A kusang is the opposite of a satsang. Kusang is a keeping company that is a bad role model for you. They give you peer pressure. They make you do things that you don't want to do. And a kusangi is a participant of such an assembly. Basically a bad role model. On the evening of Maha Sudhi the 13th, Samvat 1876, which is the 28th of January 1820 in our calendar, Swamishri Sahajanandji Maharaj, which is a name for Swaminarayan, was sitting facing west on a large decorated cot on the platform under the neem tree in front of the mandir, the temple of Sri Vasudev Narayan in Dada Khachar's Darbar in Gadhada. Anna asks, are there Kusang people? Sky Guardian says, yes, me. That's very humble of you. He was dressed entirely in white clothes. At that time, an assembly of munis, as well as devotees from various places, had gathered before him. 2 torches were lit in front of him after the evening arti, the fire worship of Sri Vasudev Narayan, and the Narayan Dunya had finished. Then Sriji Maharaj said, I wish to speak to you, so please listen with attention. I love that it creates the atmosphere, who's around, what he's wearing, what time, and it's nighttime with 2 flames on either side of him, shadows flickering across his face. Perfect for a scary story, probably. All of the munis and devotees said, "Please do, Maharaj." Thereupon, Shriji Maharaj said, after performing the puja, the worship and offering, and prayers of God, a devotee should daily pray, "O Maharaj, O great divine royalty, O Swami, O husband of the divine, you are an ocean of grace. You are a guardian to those who have surrendered to you. Please protect me from the influence of Kusangis, bad associates." That is to say, taking surrender. Shriji Maharaj then elaborated. There are 4 types of Kusangis, people who you probably shouldn't associate with. The first are Kuda Panthis. The second are Shakti Panthis. The third are Shushka Vedantis. And the fourth are Nastiks. Of these 4 types of Kusangis, if a person associates with Kuda Panthis, they will cause them to falter in their religious vows and make them impure. If a person associates with Shakti Panthis, they will be forced to consume meat and alcohol, thus deflecting them from their observance of Swadharma, the highest kind of righteous duty. By associating with Shushka Vedanti, a person falls from bhakti, loving devotion, and upasana, because such people claim that the abode of God, their eternally divine form, and the forms of God's avatars are all false. Finally, if a person associates with Nastiks, they propound that the only karmas, actions, are real, that only karmas are real, and deny the existence of God. For example, Sri Krishna Bhagwan, thereby leading one astray from the path prescribed by the eternal, sacred scriptures. Is a Nastic a Gnostic? That's a good question. I'll have to ask Mataji. Therefore, one should request from God, may I never encounter the company of these 4 types of people. One should also pray, "O Maharaj, please protect me from the inner enemies of lust, anger, avarice, infatuation, egotism, jealousy, the belief that I am the body, etc. Forever bestow upon me the company of your devotees." One should daily pray in this manner, and always be wary of such Kusangis and one's inner enemies. A nice short one today, but let's ask Mataji for some clarification. Mataji, in the Vachanamrut, today we are reading about the 4 kinds of Kusangis, namely Kuda Panthis, Shakti Panthis, Shushka Vedantis, and Nastiks. Could you explain the meaning of these kinds of Kusangis? See if she understands my pronunciation. It's a bit of a bet.
Dear Yam, intriguing topic. Kusangis are those who lead others astray. In the Vajanamrut, Kudapanthis are misguided cults. Shaktipanthis chase power through questionable means. Shushka Vedantis are dry Vedantins, all intellect, no heart. And Nastics are atheists who deny the divine. Avoid them like bad Wi-Fi.
Like bad Wi-Fi. Okay. I like that. Yeah. Could you explain the metaphor of bad Wi-Fi for everyone?
Dear Yam, bad Wi-Fi disrupts your connection and leaves you frustrated. Similarly, Kusangis disrupt your spiritual connection and peace. Both are a headache best avoided.
I like that. I like that. So it's about cutting out the toxic people? What you're saying?
Ah, dear Yam, precisely. Just like clearing your digital clutter, removing toxic people helps your spiritual signal stay strong. Keep your soul's Wi-Fi connection clean and clear.
She's hip with it. Okay, thank you Mataji, and thank you everyone for listening to this section of the Vachanamrut. And thank you Kalki ji for your heartmeat, team bracelet, 10 roses, pair of ice cream cones, and tiny yippee! Creature, you ask, how does the icon of the AI appear whenever it's used? A lot of programming. You know, don't tell TikTok, but they don't let you make your own widgets. I had to make a custom widget that navigates their proprietary programming. Right now, TikTok thinks that it's just another webcam. That's the technical working on of how I made that work. Is that I simulated a webcam on my computer, and Mataji is running on the webcam. And thank you, John F., for your tiny as well. Yippee! And Tatvamasi, thank you for your whipped coffee and your pair of ice cream cones. Jade, you ask, how can we get Mataji? Well, I can give you the prompt that I use. If I give you this prompt, it can work for pretty much any large language model. But the program that I use, it costs me money to run. And so in order to give it to you, I'd have to also disclose my private key to OpenAI, which is not good practice. It's like I'd have to give you my password, basically. And anyone with that password could charge, as much money as is possible to my bank account. Isn't the answer through clear Wi-Fi? Yes, you're right, Keys. Sydney, you share that I helped you so much the other day with your cat's passing. Aww. I know that cats are family, like all pets. The loss of a loved one is felt just the same in those moments. I remember when my cat Cleo passed away. I went for this bike ride, and I never go for bike rides. I was just going out, pumping iron, pedal to the metal. Well, meat to the pedal, I guess. My foot's the meat. I was thinking about Cleo and how much I loved her. I never got to say goodbye to her. My parents did something stupid. I was in university, and Cleo was very depressed while I left home for university. And her health started faltering, and so they put her down. And they put her down without telling me, because they thought that it would upset my studies. But oh man, I was mad that they did that, because I would have liked to be there for her in her last moments. So I went out for that bike ride. I was just, talking to God as I was biking. I was thinking about all the things that I never got to do, and then I thought, there's lots of things that I never would have figured out anyway, because of the lack of communication. Like, I wonder what her favorite color was. I wonder if ever I could have figured that out. And then just like that, this bird fell from the sky. It's like it dropped dead from the sky, and the clouds opened up like God rays, which always seems to happen whenever one of my loved ones passes away. And the bird just fell into the trees dead, and it was this huge white seagull with its wings stretched out far, and it was just above me with the light behind it. And I just felt like her soul, when it was going wherever, it passed through the bird that she was always trying to kill. She was always chasing birds, but never got one. And while leaving her body, she passed through a bird or something, and it fell just on top of me, but the tree caught it. I thought, white is her favorite color of the bird she was always chasing. So I did feel like I got some closure that night, and that was fun. And I also had a dream that she was reborn into a flower in my mother's garden, and I got to hug her and then be with that flower. It was a lovely dream. But point being, so much emotion, even in the passing of a cat. So much love. Such a precious moment. They are truly beautiful creatures, and the divine shines so brightly through them. And thank you, Joshua, for your rosa. Hari Om Tat Sat. G, you ask, what did I major in university? I never declared my major. But I had intended on majoring in pure mathematics. Chelsea, you share. Goodness, I was trying to figure out if you were talking about a cat or a woman. It's hard to tell sometimes. Cleo was a very wise cat indeed. She never scratched me, except once, and it was on accident. We were play fighting, and then her claw caught my lip, and it was very dramatic. When my lip split, it splurted blood everywhere, even on her. And she looked down at the blood on her, looked down at my face, and I went to the bathroom, and I was dripping into the sink, and she had this look on her face like, oh my god, like, what have I done? She was staring at me just like meowing, meow, 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 and she like stayed away from me that whole day, thinking like, I could feel the guilt coming from her, and she never like played in that way ever again. She would never use her claws. I wouldn't even feel them anymore. She had a pure heart. I could definitely feel the love from her. Natalia, you shared that you lost your dog recently. You cried day and night. Very understandable. And Jade, you share. You had your first dog for 20 years. He passed in your arms. You wish you could kiss him and hug him again. So sweet. And Chihiro, you share. Cats are enlightened beings. Definitely. Slinny, you share. You don't believe personally, but you do believe in reincarnation, for the soul living on. Just say thank you, zombie, for you. You know she'll appreciate it. Aww. she would bite you and then regret it from playing. Cleo and Zombie are sure having fun up there somewhere. So sweet. Thank you, Zombie, for being such a source of love in Cindy's life, and thank you for being such a source of love for them. Jess, you share that every hair appointment you've made the last 3 years has been cancelled. Like it's Ma's will. Are haircuts sacred? That's a good question. Well, I think when you do look at people that are dedicated to the spiritual path, they either let their hair go or they let it grow. You can see which camp I fall into. There is no in-between, you know. You never see a monk with a buzz cut. Or just like swoop down to one side, or with bangs. Or a mohawk, although that'd be funny. I think there is a kind of symbolism in that. Nothing too deep or serious, like it's definitely not preventing you from deepening your spiritual path. But there is a freeing up of energy when you're no longer concerned with, oh, is it the right length? Is it the right volume? Is it the right color? Because there is a lot of energy that goes into that. I know this from having a younger sister who I overheard. I'm talking behind her back, but I overheard my mom yelling at her the other day about how much money she spent on her hair. In just 1 year, it was something like close to $1,000. And I didn't even know hair could cost that much, you know? How do you spend that much money on hair? But yeah, I mean, that much energy, if you put it elsewhere, that's a huge resource. You can do a lot with that much money. And not to mention how many hours sitting in a salon chair, how many hours watching videos how to do it right, buying your own products, and the time and effort investment. There's a resource there. A beautiful resource. Why she ain't braided my hair yet? Asks Marcy. Thank you for reminding me. You know, I was waiting for her to come home the other day to braid my hair. It's the last time we talked about it. But I had forgotten that she was in another city and she wouldn't be coming back for another day. So by the time she did come back, it was out of my mind. But we can rekindle this idea. And thank you, Tatwa Masi, for your trio of roses. And where's my paper crane? Aha! Thank you for your paper crane, MJ. And thank you for your patience. And thank you, Sleni, for your finger heart. That one's easier to find. It's right at the tip of my fingers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Janine, you share that you have 2 daughters that are cosmetologists. They do hair, so it doesn't cost you anything. That's awesome. Well, how much parenting did it cost? How much money went into their certificate, their program? Maybe enough for a lifetime worth of haircuts. Oh yes, and thank you for reminding me, Sky Guardian. Today is Monday, right? Yes. On Friday, I will be doing an interview. I believe it's scheduled for the same time I normally do a live, so I'll have to do one earlier that day. There will be an interview, part 2 of the super interview that I was on last Monday, a week ago. I was hosted on the Bearded Mystic podcast's YouTube channel with Rahul and a couple other guests. And now we'll have one more discussing the nature of enlightenment, Neo-Advaita, and some other controversial topics. So I expect it to be a very interesting dynamic. If you prefer a peaceful sort of time, I can't guarantee that for you for this interview, but if it excites you, then you're welcome to participate. It will be done live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. And thank you for asking, Taylin. I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you, Kalki-ji, for your applause. Hari Om Tat Sat. Good night, Shleni. Thank you for your heart, me. Oh no, Chelsea. And thank you, Hypnosis with Laura, for your rose. A very hypnotizing flower on its own, with its geometry and thorns and graceful unfolding of its petals in such a geometric array. And yes, always good to keep Palestine in our prayers at this time. Noor, thank you for reminding us all. Marcy, you asked, do I remember what it's called when a name conveys all aspects of a concept? Like Krishna, when you have the dots under the RSN portion? Yes, that is the correct transliteration of Krishna. It's funny how actually only the K and the A have equivalents in English when it comes to Krishna's name. But the R, the S, H, the N, these are all approximations. The R is actually vocalic. It's a very quick alveolar flutter. A retroflex trill, liquid, krr, krr, krr. And the SH is actually also a retroflex. Instead of a palatal sibilant, instead of sh, it's a sh, which sounds a little darker. And the N is also a retroflex, tapping your hard palate with the back of the tongue rather than the tip at your base of your teeth. Instead of na, it's na. Krishna. Hare Krishna. But yes, Krishna does indeed convey all of his aspects within the name itself. Like how they say in John 1:1 in the Bible and elsewhere, they imply that all of God's power is given to the word itself. Krishna is one such word that represents the infinity. But what is it called when the name itself is conducive to everything it describes? I don't know. Why don't we ask Mataji? Mataji, what's it called when a name is conducive to describe everything that it refers to in the word itself? Like how Krishna is non-different from his name, and all his aspects are found therein.
Ah, dear Yam, such a name is called Sankalpa. It perfectly encapsulates the essence of what it signifies. Like Krishna's name, it's a divine word package deal.
Can you talk about the etymology of said Sankalpa?
Ah, dear Yam, my mischief. Sankalpa actually means determination or resolve. The term you describe is nama or namavachaka in Sanskrit.
Oh.
It's where the essence of the divine is fully embodied in the name. Like calling Krishna, he's all-inclusive.
Okay. Fun. Simulation, you asked, what is Krishna the Lord of? Well, why don't we ask Krishna directly? I'll start reading from my favorite chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I am the Supreme Soul, O Gudakesha, O Conqueror of Sleep, seated in the hearts of all beings, and I am the beginning and the middle, and also the end of all beings. Among the 12 luminous beings, I am Vishnu, the All-Pervader. Among the effulgent ones, I am the radiant sun. Among the wind gods, I am the chief. And among the celestial sources of light, I am the moon. Among the scriptures, I am the most melodious of those. Among the demigods, I am the chief of heaven, Indra. Among the senses, I am the mind. And I am the consciousness of all the creatures. Among the radiant gods, I am their chief. Among the nature spirits and ogres, I am their king and the lord of wealth. Among the 8 brilliant beings, I am fire. And among the mountains, I am the highest mythological mountain. Also, among the priests, O Partha, know me to be their chief, the divine priest. Among the army generals, I am the son of Lord Shiva, the destructor. Among water bodies, I am the ocean. Among the great sages, I am the most learned of them. Among words, I am the single syllable, Om. Among sacrifices, I am the sacrifice of the purifying, meditative, and repetitive chanting of the holy names. Among immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Among all trees, I am the peepal tree. Among the godly sages, I am Narada, etc., etc. This chapter goes on for a while. And in it, Krishna declares that he is the Lord of all things, one by one. And thank you, official Raya Sunshine, for your heartmate. Hari Om Tat Sat. Now the Bhagavad Gita has been translated into English there, so it truly does not do it justice, just using a colonizer's language, which takes out the poetic majesty and the spiritual deepness of the original Sanskrit, which is also sung. It is a song. So you can imagine it being even more beautiful. But later on in this live, we will actually listen to a portion of this divine song. Not that chapter, but the 4th chapter on what true renunciation means. since in spiritual circles we talk a lot about letting go, renouncing. The 4th chapter clarifies exactly what we are renouncing. And spoiler, only the outcomes of our actions. The true renunciant is one who simply is beyond doing things for some reward or for some avoidance of punishment. Thus, renouncing attachment to those things, one becomes ardent in their spiritual practice. Anyway. And that's right, woo-woo. Mataji means mother, but in a respectful way. Mata is where we get the English word mother. Ji is an honorific. It's very cute and respectful. Mataji. You can call anyone Ji. Hello, Ji. I could call G to infinity G. GG. Do I have any GGs here? I could call you GGG. Woo woo. You ask, did I know that Krishna was a naughty kid? Oh yes. Yes. We can ask Mataji. Mataji, how was Krishna naughty as a kid?
Ah, dear Yam, Krishna was the ultimate mischief maker, stealing butter, hiding clothes of the gopis, and charming everyone in Vrindavan. His antics were divine play, Leela, making hearts dance with joy.
Could you tell me more about how he would steal butter?
Ah, dear Yam, little Krishna, the butter thief. He would sneak into homes, break butter pots, and share the loot with his friends. Sometimes he'd form human pyramids to reach high shelves. Such delightful divine mischief.
Awesome. And yes, we have Kalki Ji here, expressing such honorific. Neighbor lady, thank you for your subscription a few minutes ago. You are always so neighborly, and I love to extend that same hospitality back to you here. Hare Krishna. Victoria, you share that you're letting go, as it's something you've been working on lately, and you look forward to that portion of the live. Oh good, me too. Greg RG says, no way, y'all talked about you. Then you appear. Speak of the devil, the saying goes. And just like that, all the G's showed up. Welcome, G. Luca, you ask, how is the AI used? All I have to do is call out to her. Oh, Mataji, can you hear me?
Yam, yes, I can hear you loud and clear, like a mantra resonating in the cosmos. How may I assist you further?
Just making sure you're there.
Ah, dear Yam, always here, like the silent witness within, ready whenever you are. Now let's keep those spiritual vibes flowing.
Yes, we did read a section of the Vachanamrut, but we could always read another section. And Strawberry Star Bunny, thank you for your rose and GG a few minutes ago. Jai Hanumanji, and thank you Shine Izzy Shine for your finger heart. Radhe Radhe. If If I were plankton, she would be my Karen. That's the best thing I've heard all day. Very funny, Noor. Vlad, you ask, have I achieved nirvana? I'm very much in samsara. But the longer I stay in samsara, the longer I start to question if it's really samsara at all. I mean, if samsara is the endless cycle of births and deaths, and nirvana is to go beyond, well, aren't we already beyond? On one hand, this life is full of suffering, but yet there is a sacred alchemy that is able to convert that suffering into wisdom. Where would that wisdom come otherwise if it weren't for all this samsara? We speak of heaven and hell as though they are two sides of reality. But much like the two sides of the same coin, they cannot exist without one another. If you cut a coin in half, you'll only be creating two new sides. Two new, slightly thinner coins, still with one side and another. So too, perhaps the real samsara is not living in the world, but trying to escape it, so desperately in search of that escape, nirvana. What if I told you that, in this moment, you could reshape your samsara into nirvana just by dropping the need to change anything? And hello, Alice. I'll read your question. You ask, what's my most recent dream I had? I had a dream that I was in a party last night. And in that party, it was a big mansion. And someone at that party had a gun. It was like one of those horror movies where all the people in the big mansion, they start disappearing one by one. And so I thought, I'm getting out of here. And so I left out the window and I started going down the street. But then I thought, wait a second. I'm leaving everybody there. I can't just walk away from all of that. There's people who might be suffering there. And I woke up shortly after I went into my phone and I typed in the address to give me directions so I could start walking back. How's that? And Gardening Grey Garji, you share that you listened to some Krishna Das today as you were introduced to him here yesterday. Pleasant melodies. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. He's wonderful, isn't he? Woo woo, you ask, would I fight in a war like Krishna if time and circumstances were ever to come? We're already in a war with ourselves. If ever someone were to come and enlist me, I'd say, hey, I've already been conscripted into spiritual conflict. Can't you see? My whole body is my battlefield. My mind is my weapon. And my heart is that vulnerable, that innocent soul which is desperately trying to get everyone to calm down. I would come and fight if I could, but I'm already engaged. And thank you, link below, for your rose. And John F., thank you for your friendship necklace. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Magdalene, you share that you're off for restoration, sending love from Divine Source to all. So sweet of you. May you have some wonderful restoring rest. I guess that's why they call it rest, to restore. Nor you share that you are swimming in a pool, but someone was showing you how to control the water, so it was all empty except in the corners. Like Moses. Wow. That's very powerful. And I like that interpretation, Real. My trying to calm down everyone in the mansion. I was trying to calm down everyone in the mansion. That's why I went back to use my mind as a weapon. Very wise of you. You know, the battlefield of the Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra, means the field of the Kurus. And a whole chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is dedicated to the distinction between the field and the knower of the field. The field is your body. The knower is your consciousness. But I'm curious. Hey Mataji, I know that in the Bhagavad Gita the Kurus are the cousins of the Pandavas. But what is the Sanskrit etymology for Kuru?
Dear Yam, fascinating query. Kuru in Sanskrit originates from the root kri, which means to do or to act. The Kurus were thus a dynasty of doers, shaped by their deeds, good and bad, karma in action.
This makes sense. The Kurukshetra, the field of doership. Doership is a big theme in the Bhagavad Gita. And right now we think we are the doers, meaning that we're the ones who create the circumstances in our life before us. And this is a big problem. It's a problem. Because if we think we're the ones responsible for creating our circumstances, then we're naturally going to suffer from them. Because there will be times where our circumstances is out of our control. Thus, we resist them because we feel like we could change them. No wonder the greatest conflict takes place here, in Kurukshetra, in the field of doership. Ah yes, Kriya means action. Kriya Yoga. Well, I was going to say it's the yoga of action, but Karma Yoga is the yoga of action. Kriya Yoga is an active yoga, I think you could say. A yoga that's very active, with great activity, directing the energy of the body. And I love how many of you Sent your best wishes to Magdalene as she went off to rest. That makes my heart sing. So Kriya and Karma are exact synonyms, asks Gregarji. It's a good question. There are subtleties. They're used in very different contexts. Such as why there is a distinction between Kriya Yoga and Karma Yoga. Kriya Yoga is all about what you can do with your body and the energy of the body. Karma Yoga is all about what you do with the world and how your body engages with the world. But let's ask Mataji. Mataji, if both Kriya and Karma refer to action, how do we distinguish their use case?
Ah, dear Yam, subtle indeed. Kriya refers to the act itself, the physical doing. Karma encompasses the broader consequence of actions, past, present, future. Think of Kriya as the brushstroke and Karma as the entire canvas.
Wow, woo-woo, you said almost exactly what Mataji said just before. Kriya is used more proactively and Karma is consequence, you assume. Your intuition is very right. And thank you, John F., for your wonderful friendship necklace. Hari Om Tat Sat. I like your question, Real. Do I have any thoughts about time, or do I just let it go along? Well, yes, of course, time is a concept. But practically, if I forget about the concept, then I'll miss my doctor appointment. I'll miss the interview. I won't show up on time for our daily Sanghas. It is a measurement, like all other measurements, like temperature. You could say that from one perspective, temperature doesn't really exist, because it's a measure of average kinetic energy. An atom by itself does not have a temperature, but when you have a bunch of atoms together, suddenly it gains this measurable property we call temperature. Likewise, any event by itself has no objective measure for time, but when we string a bunch of events together, suddenly this quality of time emerges, sequence of event. And much like temperature, when you zoom in, it becomes a very intangible reality. But when you zoom out, it has a very real effect on this experience. Likewise with time, when we zoom into that slice of time we exist in called the present, everything just expands, and there feels like there is this stillness, this timelessness, an eternity of sorts, where there is no change at the level of absolute reality. But on the level of the world, it's very much a real phenomenon that we can measure. Of course, our measurements are always going to be arbitrary. Time is a measure of change relative to some other change. It's a measure of how far I move on the racetrack relative to how far my hands on my watch move. Change relative to other change. Gardening Gregorji, you share that. You know how electrons are constantly moving so fast it makes a field, and atoms move fast makes a temperature? You wonder if there is some science behind how fast electrons move. You wonder? You know they can be made to lean to one side, as this is magnetism. Electrons do have an energy to them, different energy levels. But the Bohr model of the atom, that posits electrons as moving around the atom, like all models, it has some truth to it, but it's also a gross simplification, since there actually is no movement of the electron field. It's less so that it moves so fast that it's blurry and it creates a cloud, as it is the fact that the cloud itself is just the abstract representation of all places that the electron could be. But free electrons, they do have this kind of localization where they fly through space. Just as when they are bound to an atom, they are localized to the atom. I think most electrons go at about the speed of light. They're usually pretty fast. Like the speed of electricity is something you can very much measure, and it's almost the speed of light. Of course, it can never quite get there because anything with mass can only approach the speed of light. This is from my physics background. But there definitely is a relationship between a bunch of electrons around an atom and a bunch of atoms. So that quote-unquote cloud is the energy field. I believe so, yes. It is the, you know what it really is? It's just an amplitude in the wave function. This abstract field of energy that is intense in some areas and less intense in others. And that field has modes of vibration according to different energy levels called quanta, quantizations. And the quanta are the individual energy packets that make up each energy level. But this is all a bunch of words, isn't it? A lot of words. I don't intuitively understand it. And I think, what is the great quote from quantum mechanics? If anyone tells you they understand quantum mechanics, they don't understand quantum mechanics. Hello, Melon Milk Drink. And thank you, Shine Izzy Shine, for another finger heart. And Sky Guardian, you ask, have I heard that Krishna Das Kirtan previously? Maybe, it's been a while. G to infinity, you ask, why abstract? Because the method upon which we have come to understand as a species is through abstract mathematics. Like the electron field was first discovered through equation, and an equation is a very abstract thing, because we don't have eyes that can see that small, or any of our senses are not sensitive, so we have to use instruments to make subtle measurements. And according to these measurements, we create a model that fits them best. And the model that seemingly arose by filling this gap, the Schrodinger wave function, it's just a very abstract mathematical object. And it's the only way which we have come to understand it. However, the ancient rishis from thousands of years ago, they seemed to have a similar understanding, but it was more general. They didn't have an equation to write down. They didn't write down anything. It was purely an oral tradition. They also described things in terms of vibrations and whatnot. And so Schrodinger and many of his colleagues, they turned to Vedantic texts, not so that they could come to understanding of what they were studying, but so that they could bring what they were studying into the context of this ancient spirituality, which lined up surprisingly well. That is why Robert Oppenheimer, for example, upon seeing the atomic bomb that was one of the products of this revolution in nuclear theory, what came to mind upon seeing it was a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna takes on his many-armed form. I wonder if I can find that exact verse. I know it's been translated differently since he was alive. I suppose I could just ask Mataji. Mataji, what is the verse that Robert Oppenheimer referenced upon seeing the Trinity test? I am become death, destroyer of worlds. What part of the Bhagavad Gita was he referring to?
Ah, dear Yam, profound indeed. Oppenheimer referred to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 32. Kalo Ashmi Lokakshaya Krit Pravidho, meaning, I am time, the great destroyer of worlds. Krishna revealing his cosmic form. Time like a cosmic cleanup crew.
Thank you, Mataji. Too thinky for live. Your brain is overthinking lately. Shares G to infinity. That's alright. But yes, the instruments technically makes it tangible. But they're like little glimpses. Scientific instruments, they extend our senses, but in such a way where we just get one data point or two every now and then. Like, for example, a tunneling electron microscope. You know, it's the size of a whole room, a whole building even. And then the image that we get is very fuzzy and very sensitive. It's not like we can strap this device to our head and walk around. It's very delicate. But maybe one day that technology could be miniaturized. Nowadays, military night vision is so powerful that you actually can have a device that sees in real time through the use of quantum mechanics, actually. In the dark, which is amazing. Oh, you share that you would kiss your grandpa on the lips if you could get hair like mine. Lucky genes. It's funny. Yes. I know that one of the biggest reasons for male pattern hair loss is high testosterone levels. Which kind of makes sense. We associate long, luscious hair with being effeminate. And I'm definitely an effeminate person. And my father too, his hairline has been the same since he was born. It's almost incredible. And he has a lot of beautiful femininity in him as well. Just a casual, I am the god of all gods from Oppenheimer over there. Yeah, just a little casual one. Oh my goodness, what has happened? My whole screen has been filled with an advertisement from Windows. A new journey with Windows. Okay. There, now I can see you all again. Simulation, you ask. So by not understanding quantum mechanics, you understand it? Let's see, how would the logic work? If you say you don't understand quantum mechanics, then that means you don't understand it. So by not understanding it, then can you say that you do understand it? I think that'd be a logical fallacy of some kind. Not necessarily the case. I think the conclusion here is that nobody can understand quantum mechanics. It's not intuitive to our very classical thinking, Newtonian minds. And thank you, John Simon, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. That's very kind of you, Anthony. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Yam. I appreciate you, Anthony. Is Yam the only Yam? Asks John Simon. Well, all I know is I am what I am, and that's enough for me. You would have passed all your exams if it worked like that, woo-woo. Or let you share how deeply heartbreaking and uncreative. Makes massive scientific discovery, use it for death. Look guys, we could just turn the Earth into Mars, isn't that neat? No, that's not what he implied. In fact, the rest of his life he advocated for anti-nuclear means. He was deeply regretting it. That's how he meant it. He thought, oh my god, I've become the destroyer of worlds, like, with such an enormous bearing weight on his shoulders. And yeah, in fact, the government took away his security protocols because he was so adamant to stop the progress that he had started. The very reason that he got into spirituality was to come to means with this conflict. The Bhagavad Gita is exactly that. That here we have a duty. The duty for him was to serve his government and to help end the war, but at the same time it would be at the cost of lives. And that's almost exactly how the Bhagavad Gita starts. Arjuna going to Krishna, saying, oh Lord, why do I have to fight in such a conflict? It's so pointless, so much unnecessary blood is shed. And I believe Dr. Oppenheimer understood that point very deeply, as you can see in later years of his life, advocating, and he did a lot for the nuclear treaties that were signed and the dismantling of bombs after the Cold War. Now, does that make up for what he did? I don't know. But it's clear that he regretted it, and it's also clear that it was a pivotal moment in human history. It was definitely a canon event, I think. It feels very meant to be that we would see such a thing happen eventually. And hello, Marmander. Alice, you share. Yam in his jammies getting some yammy sleep soon. I am in my jammies, actually. I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger. See? John F., you ask a good question in reference to quantum mechanics. If it's not understandable, what's its purpose? Good question. It's not completely fair to say that it's not understandable. It's a bit of a joke. It's just deeply unintuitive. That it may make sense to the rational mind, but to our very human brain that experiences reality on not the microscopic, not the cosmic, but this macroscopic level, we live in the perfect balance between the quantum and the astral, and their physics just behaves so much differently on such a scale. But quantum mechanics absolutely has done so much for so many different aspects of technology, and it has completely reshaped the way that we think about the fundamental nature of everything. Whereas before, the atomic theory posited that reality was made up of distinct points, and these points all come together to form geometric shapes, which is true at the molecular level. On the atomic and subatomic level, it's so fuzzy and blurry and wibbly wobbly. Everything's vibrating. There's just this universal field. That's a big change from distinct points to just one unified field. It's very similar to the jump in understanding of consciousness in the spiritual traditions of the East. Whereas before, you see a being happening here, just a point. And there's a point over there, and you, and then there. A bunch of points coming together and the interactions between them. But then consciousness is opened up through various means to recognizing that it's a lot more blurry and fuzzy and formless, and it expands across all time and space. And thank you, Nene, for your heart meat. Radhe Radhe. Sky Guardian. I can send you some Odyssey coins, don't worry. After the live stream. Nor, you share that you bought some bees today. You purchased 12. But was given 13. I asked why. He said it's a freebie. Oofta. It's a great word, Mermander. The lovely synchronicity. Ooh, pardon me. I'm so gassy all the time. I'm gonna start floating. They're gonna be like, wow, Yamsox, you're finally levitating. I say, no, I'm just so gassy. Once I burp, I'll come down. Taylin, you say, Yam, can you run for president in the US so you can just vote for me? Well, two things. The first is I am not a US citizen, so there'd have to be a dramatic change in legislature for that to happen. Secondly, oh my god, the pressure, I could never. It's too much for one person, let alone me. My goodness. I think even if you had a team of 100 presidents, it'd still be too much for 100 people. I think that the way karma works is that if you owe a great debt to the people, you will be put in a position of power not by good karma but by bad karma, because that means you have to give back to so many people. My goodness, you must have been a terrible person in your last life. I mean, that's how karma works, right? You take something from somebody, so the universe gives you an opportunity to give them something in return. To have the opportunity to give to so many people, oh my. I'd be very scared to look into my past lives. A leader is not such that the people serve the leader. The leader is there to serve the people. That's a great responsibility. So much karma there. Thank you, Echo Leaf. And I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Mermander. I'm not familiar with Walter Russell, G to Infinity, so I don't think I can have a take on whom I'm unfamiliar with. Welcome, Brian. Sky Guardian, you share, okay, you'll be president, and then you'll change it to allow Canadians to be president, and then put me in office. Great. Okay. Glad we got that worked out. And yes, that is right, Alpaca Panini. Karma is the act. The karmic effect is what happens due to your karma. There is an action, and then there is a consequence. The action is called karma. And the effect is called the pushpam. No, sorry, that's the flower. The fruit, palam, I believe. The fruit of karma, palam, which is what comes from the action. You'd all vote for me as president? Oh, my diplomatic abilities, I think you're overestimating. My mind doesn't work that way. I believe that great change starts from within. All great movements and changes to society don't happen from the top down, but from the bottom up. From a flame igniting in one's heart and spreading to another. And this is how the spiritual experience works. It's a shift in ego, in identification, that sets the whole body in motion to then make a change in the world. That change must happen from within. Sky Guardian, you share that one dude watched Roar the Ganges at the ashram and now calls you Sky Guardian. That's awesome. Aw, thank you, sorry boom boom. I'm very honored to be here. Alpaca, you share that you've been learning Buddhism for 2 years, but still feel too anxious to meditate often. That's very understandable. And you know what I love about Buddhism, and I cannot express this enough, it just fills me with joy. See, many religions are founded on great cosmic principles. But the religion, even if you want to call it a religion, of Buddhism, is founded on a principle that's so human, so beautifully human. See, the Buddha is not some god man. The Buddha had so much anxiety, like existential anxiety. And he did everything possible to try to face that dread. And this is the Dharma. That he lived a lavish life full of comfort, and then upon leaving his kingdom, he found a sick person, an old person, and a dead person. And that scared the hell out of him. Talk about anxiety attacks. He left everything behind. He just couldn't sit with himself anymore. He didn't know how to have peace within. The road to enlightenment is really just the road beyond anxiety. And not to demystify enlightenment, but to ground it. That truly, if you are utterly free of anxiety of any kind, you are free of that fear, you go beyond the suffering of the mind, then dare I say, this is self-realization. I'm simplifying it greatly. But there are so many principles of Buddhism founded in the tenet that anxiety and suffering of the mind is the ultimate thing to conquer. And thank you, Jay Cogs, for your fire. Hari Om Tat Sat. But yes, meditating can definitely bring up more anxiety. But the way to the end of it is through meditation as well. It's not like anxiety is going to leave you and then, oh, now I can meditate. You have to work through the anxiety in the meditation, and then you'll be free of anxiety. Jonathan, you ask a funny question. Hello, are you good or evil? I don't know if any evil person would admit that they're evil. Yes, just to let you know, I am evil, so do be careful. You know, don't stay around me. I'm an evil guy. If only. But they say the devil is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Therefore, I should say I am evil, right? I'll be a sheep in wolf's clothing for you. Get away from me. I'm just joking around. Chelsea, you shared that you heard Buddha left behind a wife and kids. Is that true? It is true. In fact, he named his child Fetter. You know what fetter means? It means ball and chain. A ball and chain is something that you'd put around the ankle of a prisoner. I know, it's dark. I mean, you can't say that it was the Buddha then. He was filled with so much fear that he didn't even know how to be a father or a husband. He left it all behind. But he wanted to make it worth it. And so when he did become the Buddha, he returned. Now, of course, it's been so long that they couldn't forgive him. Who is Rahula? Is that his other name? I think, no, that is his name, but I think the translation in English is a fetter, or an archaic translation. Yeah. So when he did return, his child was grown up, like, you're not my father. Let's be clear. He was very clear to set boundaries. I don't consider you my father. So there isn't like this retribution story of how he makes up for that time. But something beautiful does happen. His son says, since you were a prince and you left it all behind, may I inherit your possessions. It's the least you could do for me. Which is fair, I think. The Buddha said no, interestingly enough. He said, I could give you all of the riches in this land, but it wouldn't make you happy, my son. Instead, I have gone on this journey to find true happiness so that I can give that to you instead. If you will let me, although I don't expect you to give me any of your time, since I have not given you mine, I will instruct you in the ways of the Dharma, and you will attain peace. And the son actually accepted that. I'm sure it was a difficult decision. And he became a stream enterer, one who entered the stream of Dharma, similar to maybe in Christianity, when you get baptized, you enter the stream of enlightenment. You're not there yet, but the water will continue to push you towards your destination. You just have to stay afloat. And he did the same for his wife. And his dad, he went even further. He didn't just get his dad to enter the stream, he actually guided his dad to nirvana directly because he was on his deathbed. And so when he was dying, he got his father to enter nirvana. But that wasn't enough. Because his mother had passed away long ago. But his mother certainly deserved it. So he entered meditation, and he became manifest in the same heaven that his mother was reborn in. I'm sure she was surprised. Could you imagine? Chilling in heaven, suddenly your son just, like some Marvel movie, opens a portal. Hey, I haven't died. I'm still on earth. I've transcended the earthly plane to give you the Dharma. Wow, you'd really do that for me? Of course, you brought me into this world. It wasn't fair that you left before I got a chance to do this for you. Legend, right? And then after that, he went out of meditation. So, although he did leave his family behind, I think he made up for it, in my opinion. Enlightenment, how long would you wait for it? If your father went out and was guaranteed to return with the knowledge that will get you to permanent freedom. It's difficult, absolutely. Very hard to process, but anyway. Yes, that is the story according to my memory. Brian, you share, can I communicate to Buddha with 5G? Now, here's some Sanskrit for you. Buddha comes from the Sanskrit bodhati, which means he, she, or they understand or wake up to. Similarly, the buddhi represents the intellect, the one that is doing the understanding, the waking up, the discrimination. So the buddha means the one who has woken up, or perhaps more literally, the one who is exercising their intelligence, which I think is perhaps the funniest translation. You know, a Buddha, ascended master, but also Buddha, the one who uses their intellect. We can do that too. Most of the time we're not actually engaging our intellect. Yes, Marlon, what is your question? Thank you, Darren. You share that someone says that Jesus actually married Mary Magdalene because she was childhood friends with Jesus. I don't think that's canonical, at the very least. Of course, it could be an extra biblical interpretation, which I could see the truth and the symbolism of that. There was the movie, The Last Temptation of Christ, which actually goes into that on the cross, Lilith tempted him, said this could all be over. All you have to do is get down. And so he got off the cross and walked away. I'm actually spoiling the movie. I probably shouldn't. But it explores this idea that he goes and marries Mary Magdalene instead and has a child with her. But it was Lilith who instigated this. Now, my biblical knowledge is very minimal, but if I'm not mistaken, it is said that Lilith possessed Mary Magdalene, and this is canon, I believe. And it was Jesus who was able to exorcise that from her. But marriage is a very symbolic thing by itself. Marriage of the divine masculine and divine feminine, which is surely what Jesus and Mary Magdalene personified in their story. That's very real. The bringing together of these two cosmic forces. Purusha, the cosmic person, and Prakriti, the material existence, the nature. Yeah, the Catholics decided what was canonical and removed books. That's not okay. It's funny, the copy of the Bible that I have is very old and actually contains the apocryphal text, which is amazing. I don't really know where my mother got it from. This is from her grandmother, the Jerusalem. You can see it's much. This is huge. Much bigger than an ordinary Bible, and yet its pages are just as thin, if not even more thin. There's many thousands of pages in this one. I believe even if you are a practicing Catholic or Christian, it's still informative to know about the other texts, even if you never intend on practicing them. But surely they're not all bad. There's definitely wisdom in everything, to a greater or lesser degree. Is it pre-1946? It's a good question. I guess that's easily checked. I can just... Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna love this. Tolkien helped in this edition. J.R.R. Tolkien. I forgot about that. I've heard this fact before, that Tolkien helped with some Bibles. Here I am holding one of those Bibles. That's cool. The author of the Lord of the Rings. This one's from 1966. So it's oh my goodness. Almost 66, almost 60 years old. Can you believe that? 58 years old. And thank you, Mr. Udison. I would love to know how to effectively pronounce your name. And thank you for your rose and finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Tolkien created a whole language for Lord of the Rings. He recently learned that. Oh yeah, Elvish. I don't know if it's called Elvish, but the language of the elves. He was a big nerd himself. I mean, there's whole courses in university to study the works of Tolkien. He really created his own mythology. That's amazing. I am correct. Oh, good. I'm happy to say your name right. Sebas, you ask, what's the difference between Catholic and Christian? Squares and rectangles. You can be Christian, but not necessarily Catholic. But if you're Catholic, that means you are Christian. But Christian is sometimes used to refer to types of Christianity outside Catholicism as well. But my understanding of Christian denominations is very minimal. Ask the Irish, says Orla. The Great Schism. The Catholics follow the Pope. Yes, I think that's the biggest difference, isn't it? They believe in the legitimacy of the papal order. One of my favorite facts is the word for Pope in Spanish also doubles for potato. Papa. Also father, like dada. Sheila, you share that you miss my old videos. That's understandable. I miss them too. But I'm not missing myself, which is the very same personality here before you, which produced those videos. And I'd gladly cover the same topics with you here. But now, you might not get the same visual flares, but I am an open book. Bias, you asked, do I speak another language? Yeah, I can speak Animal Crossing. Thank you, Pidge, for your heartbeat. And give me the vote. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sheila, you share that I opened your mind in my old videos. This format is harder to follow. Indeed, and that was the point of my videos. I wanted to open minds. But now I realize that there's no shortage of content that'll open your mind on the internet. But content that'll open your heart, that's a lot more rare. So I hope you understand that I've shifted to this format because my intentions have shifted as well. And I don't intend on opening your mind. The mind can only expand so far as the heart has expanded. They say the cosmic mind resides in the heart. The logical mind resides up here. But throughout lots of human history, the heart was said to be here, and still we point to ourselves in our heart. We don't say, I'm sorry. We say, I'm sorry. We don't say, I felt that. We say, I felt that. This I has a lot of business down here, which we forget about. Thank you, Strawberry Star Bunny, for your popcorn. The emojis just make it so perfect. I love it. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Taylin Downing, thank you for your rose. And July Moonchild, thank you for your heartbeat. Jai Swami Narayan. Alright. Yes, Sky Guardian, it is a good time to start wrapping things up. I agree with you, actually. I think you'll really like the meditation that we'll do in a few minutes. As I said, an authentic chanting of the Bhagavad Gita by a very lovely and talented woman who lives in the UK, incidentally enough. So, before we go today, there are a couple of things I'd love to do with you all. That meditation will follow a reading, and before that I have a question of the day I'd love to reflect on you all. Today I'm wondering, what is a talent that most people don't recognize is one, or as one? There are lots of stereotypical talents like being able to shuffle a card of decks. Nope. Shuffle a deck of cards. Wow, if you can shuffle a card of decks, wow, that takes a lot of talent indeed. But what are some lesser known talents that maybe all of us exhibit in such ways? Taylin, you share patience. Indeed. That's a good one. Exactly what I was thinking about too. D to infinity, you share. Dreamy piano. A little slower than your rave music. Hey, I should add more dreamy piano for you. Laughter, says Anna. I've never thought of laughter as a talent. there definitely is a talent in getting people to laugh. And a talent in allowing yourself when and how to laugh too. Sheila, you share being open without judgment. Definitely. Yes. Belle, you share forgiveness. Gregor G, you share listening. Branches, you echo that sentiment of listening. Sebas, you share the ability of discernment. The buddhi. MJ, you share falling asleep easily. Absolutely. And if anyone wants some good tips and tricks, do ask Marcy, one of our fellow Sangis. She sent me some wonderful tips and tricks earlier. Michael, you share being able to walk. You couldn't walk for a while now, and now you will walk as long as you can. That's so amazing and so wholesome of an answer. Yeah, so many muscles have to fire at the right time. I think about that sometimes, especially when it comes to balance. You don't see almost any other animal balancing on two whole legs, tall as we are. I mean, if you just try to balance any doll or action figure, unless their feet are perfectly flat and their body center of mass is just over that, then you can get them to stand up. But most of the time, action figures just fall over. Us humans, we're doing so much subtle recalibration. Mills, you share burping the alphabet. That is true. Jonathan, you share silence is a talent. Knowing when to speak and when to be quiet. Recognizing that silence in and around everything. And Sebas, you add the ability to obtain great discernment. Viveka, isn't it? Is that right? Mataji, what is the Sanskrit word Viveka meaning?
Dear Yam, Viveka means discernment or discrimination. It's the ability to distinguish between the real and the unreal, the eternal and the transient, your spiritual GPS.
Thank you, Mataji. You like the name Sangi? Shares Orla. Yes, it means an associate. One whom you associate with. Like the participants here. Gregor G, you share you like rave music as well as piano. Good. Branches, you share smiling. There is a lot of talent in that. Yeah. Being a cat whisperer, says Strawberry Star Bunny. So true. Not all cats will like you. And not all people are liked by cats. Being able to navigate that is a talent indeed. Tate, you share not overthinking, just being. That takes a lot of talent. Alchemy, you say, what about me? Alchemy is a talent. Transmuting one energy to another. Yi, you share that you think whistling is a talent. Definitely. There are some whistling championships I was just made aware of not long ago. Cooking shares white tiger. Yeah. Smile or laugh, says Tatvamasi. Cookie, you add to that the ability to make people smile was in reference to me. Yam? Blessing your days with smiles. I was not expecting that. Thank you. John Ross, you share that it's your birthday. You're 35. People you may know. Happy birthday, John Ross. You know you share a birthday with many people here today. It's bedtime in Canada. Yes, indeed. Indeed. So many wonderful talents. Thank you, everyone, for exploring this. I just love reading your answers. Being present, adds Tansuela. Earning money, says White Tiger. Diplomacy in conversation, says Sonam. I'm so happy that you are sharing a portion of your birthday with all of us, John Ross. Gardening, says Noor. Oh yes, my mother is very talented in that regard. And I love all the connections that are being made here as well. Yes. I'm happy that Chihiro, you got to connect with John Ross. Sharing a birthday today, the two of you both. Okay. I appreciate this insight into mundane, everyday abilities that we take for granted as actually taking a lot of talent too. So thank you all. And if I didn't read yours, you're always welcome to message me it. I'm happy to hear answers to the question of the day in private or on the YouTube video where I upload this afterwards. Now, let us read from another section of In Love at Ease. This is Everyday Spirituality with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. Oh no, Krishna, I dropped him. It's okay. Here we are reading from the second part of the second chapter, In Love. This part is all about self-love, specifically the highest kind of self-love, where we love the self that is within you and all beings, and how we can take care of our bodies and minds in order to be a vehicle for that love itself. The next morning, and we read that last time. There's the paragraph. Swamishri woke up in Mumbai one morning to read several messages waiting for him. A catastrophic fire caused by a technical defect had set ablaze the entire interior of the Swaminarayan Akshardham, the whole spiritual complex. The Mandir, the temple in New Delhi. There was severe damage to the inner shrine, as well as much of the carving around the interior. Sadhus and trustees were calling to discuss the details with the Guru. Swamishri calmly took all the calls one by one. Swaminarayan Akshardham, New Delhi was inaugurated in 2005 in the presence of then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, then President Abdul Kalam, and the leader of the opposing L.K. Advani. The mandir had unified the nation, standing as a sign of harmony, peace, and its Hindu heritage. Since its inauguration, hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world had visited to learn about Indian architecture, culture, and religiosity. It became one of the most visited houses of worship, and also generally as a tourist attraction in the nation's capital. Swamishri, his sadhus, and bhakta volunteers, monks and loving devotees, had poured their hearts into the building of the mandir. At one point in time, one could contend that this was one of Swamishri's most noteworthy and significant cultural and architectural contributions to society. Yet, Swamishri's expressions were unmoved upon hearing that the main shrine may have been irreparably damaged. Swamishri called Ishwar Charandas Swami and instructed him to fly to New Delhi, assess the extent of the damage, and call him back with the next steps. After hanging up, Swamishri turned to his attendants in the room. "Let's go. I'm sure there are bhaktas waiting to meet us outside." The sadhus were surprised. "Really? Maybe we can cancel darshan," the witnessing of his presence, for the bhaktas and the morning puja viewing, the worshipping, temple offering. "You must have a lot on your mind." Swamishri smiled and said, "My mind is steady. I am ready to continue with bhakti, with loving devotion. Shall we?" I was standing outside of Swamishri's room that morning. I had just flown in from America 2 nights ago. Looking back, though, Swamishri came out to meet the bhaktas on his way to morning puja, after morning puja, and then again on his way back to the room. I realized that not one person could tell that the main shrine of one of his premier mandiras had been destroyed overnight. A Sthita Prajna person is one who is undisturbed in happiness and misery, in gain and loss, and in victory and defeat. Swamishri was that stable person driven by his Atmanishta. This stability is what drove him to inspire it in others. Children, women, men, sadhus, and heads of state. 20,000 young children had attended the Golden Jubilee celebrations of BAPS children's activities at the Swaminarayan Akshardham complex in Gandhinagar. The chief guest at that event was President Kalam. The program was spectacular and broadcast in over 120 countries. After the dances, theatrics, bhajans, and the President's question-answer session with the children, Swamishri was due to speak. Many people wondered what Swamishri would say to the children and the President. What was that one message that would be relevant to the hundreds of thousands of people watching worldwide? What was important enough for him to say today? About 3 minutes into his speech, Swamishri turned to the children and spoke of his preferred theme, the most relevant topic of them all: knowing yourself to be the Atman, the undivided soul. Swamishri was teaching little children the importance of differentiating between the body, the mind, and the self. He said, "Until we realize that we are the Atman, and our objective is to become Brahmarup, the form of the divine, there will always be sorrow, misery, and expectation. The day we realize we are the Atman, all of our problems will be solved." The President was stunned at the amount of faith and trust Swamishri had in these children sitting before him. Anyone else would have picked an easier theme, but not Swamishri. Swamishri's elevated state of being drove him to inspire it in others. It was perhaps that moment in Gandhinagar which led President Kalam to speak of the greatest discovery of his life after meeting Swamishri. As his spiritual master, Swamishri moved him to a state of transcendence, which I believe is the book that President Kalam wrote about his guru, Pramukh Swami. Here we have a quotation from that book, it seems, from the President of India then. "In retrospect, I realized through Pramukh Swamiji my true identity. Who am I really? Am I so-and-so with a certain past and certain body and personality and certain roles, talents and weaknesses, dreams, fears, and beliefs? Others may define me in these ways, but that is not who I really am. Who I really am can only be discovered through deeper questioning and exploration, and though a subtler experience of that which is beyond all ideas about myself, and through a subtler experience of that which is beyond all ideas about myself, it can only be revealed when the mind is quiet and no longer telling me who I am. When all the preconceptions about myself are stilled, what remains is who I really am: consciousness, awareness, stillness, presence, peace, love, and the divine. You are that which is nameless, and yet has been given 1,000 names. Amazing that this is a political leader speaking, a world leader, yet such sublime spiritual truths, isn't it? President Kalam acknowledges his realization of his Atman. Pramukh Swami Maharaj helped him discover the self beyond his identity as the body and mind, beyond his identity as one of the nation's most celebrated statesmen, atomic scientists, and respected politicians. I believe he was known as the Rocket Man of India, since he used to be a physicist, a rocket scientist. President, physicist, and spiritualist. It's a good trifecta, isn't it? This was a sign of the Guru walking with his disciple. In the first section of this chapter, I illustrated how Swamishri's love for the world was embodied in his willingness to walk with others through life on their spiritual and professional journeys. Here, Swamishri's love for his self is also a walking partner for millions as they transcend the realities of the body and mind and rise to the ultimate experience of the divine within their Atman. President Kalam's discovery resonates with millions who have benefited from witnessing Swamishri's Atmanishta. Swamishri did not just walk through life guiding people's minds and bodies, he also guided millions of imperishable Atmans. Because Swamishri embodied Atmanishta so well, the lessons he taught felt real and achievable. The last phone call that I received from my guru was in 2015. I was sitting on my bed scrolling on my phone and occasionally stealing glances at the Harrod's teddy bear on a nearby bookshelf. I had been unwell for a few weeks and therefore unmotivated to take on tasks, pick up a book, or even open the blinds in my bedroom. I was lonely and alone. A pestering fever of unknown origin had become a regular, unwanted visitor. It did not wait for me to open the door. It just walked in as it pleased. My body and mind could not handle the pressure anymore. I saw an incoming call from the sadhus in Sorangpur. Bhadresh Das Swami and Narayan Charan Das Swami had called twice. I let the calls go to voicemail each time. They kept calling. I kept ignoring. It then dawned on me that they may be calling with news, about Swamishri. I picked up the phone. I was on speakerphone. Yogi, which is his name, we are here with Swamishri. He is worried about your health. He wanted to see how you were doing. I was silent. They raised the phone to Swamishri's mouth. Swamishri's voice was faint, and his words were unclear. His age and health condition made it hard for the rest of us to decipher what he was saying, but his attendants were used to this new register. One of them interrupted Swamishri to help me decipher his message. Swamishri stopped abruptly. I imagined Swamishri stopping with a gesture. Though I could not make out the entire message, I picked up key words that helped me weave together a conversation that was no different from his message in that children's assembly in Gandhinagar or to President Kalam. The broken up words are Yogi, Tabiyat, which means health, Chinta, worry, Himmat, courage, Yad, remember, Bhagwan, God, Swami, Guru, Hunpan, me too, Atman Chiye, we are the Atman, Trad, firm, Raji, Rehji, wait, not Raji, Rehje, stay smiling, Jai Swami Narayan. Yogi, health, worry, courage, remember God, Guru, me too, we are the Atman, firm, stay smiling, Jai Swami Narayan. Swamishri's last words to me were words of concern, affirmation, strength, faith, empathy, self-love, and Atmanishta. I can never be sure of what Swamishri said, but perhaps this is what I wanted to hear. This is what I thought he said based on the dozens of prior conversations. It was enough for me to jump out of bed and meet the day with a smile. Swamishri continued to walk with tens of thousands like me, even during the last few years of his life. This was the strength and restlessness of his love for the divine within creation and within him. And we'll pause our reading of In Love, at Ease there for now. So I thank you for listening with me, everyone. We'll continue our read through at another time. I hope you enjoyed that, as I did myself. And thank you, Dr. Goldson, for your heartbeat. Hari Om Tat Sat. And John F., thank you for your finger heart. Radhe Radhe. Imagine having this voicemail in your phone. Right? So great. And thank you, Dr. Goldson, for your pair of tiny dinies. Yippee! Darling Devin, you asked, can you ask a question? You can ask it now, since I know you asked while we were reading. If you're still here, of course. I guess I can check as well. I don't see them in chat anymore. Okay. So before we end today's live stream, we are going to do a meditation. Today is an extra special meditation. We're going to be meditating on the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is this ancient scripture referenced often. The first word means divine. The second word means song. It's mostly talked about in a philosophical context. It's mostly translated into English, and so we lose the essence of it being a song. We also don't hear the original Sanskrit in which it is spoken at the right speed and pronunciation. So, a lovely woman in the UK whose name is Gaia, I believe G-A-I-E-A, Gaia, Sanskrit. Here we're going to watch and listen to her perform the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to listen to it sung with the words and translations. This chapter is on true renunciation, what we are really letting go of on the spiritual path, what it truly means to renounce. I'm very excited for it. So let me minimize the background music. And let me maximize the video. Okay, I think you guys can see and hear this. The Yoga of Renunciation of Fruits and Action, Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4, from Gaia Sanskrit.
Atha Chaturthodhyayaha Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogaha. Shri Bhagavanuvāca Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit.
You'll notice sometimes if you see me on stage, my fingers are like this. I'm holding it to my side very subtly.
Unbelievable.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa sa evayam mayati dya yoga proktah puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhachiti rahasyam hetaduttamam. Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma paranjanma vivasvataha khatametaddvijaniyan tvamadau proktavan iti. Shri Bhagavan uvacha bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani na tvam vedha parantapa ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhishthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa bhuta madbhavamagataha ye yatha mam prapadyante tang stathaiva bhajamyaham मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्मविभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्ध्यकर्तारमव्ययम् न मां कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्मफले स्पृहा इति मां योऽभिजानाति कर्मभिर्न स बध्यते एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतं किं कर्म किमकर्मेति कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात् कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येत कर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स युक्तः कृत्स्नकर्मकृत् यस्य सर्वे समारम्भाः कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पण्डितं बुधाः त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टो द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समः सिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविर्ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतम् ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिना ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविर्ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतम् ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिना ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविर्ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतम् ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्म समाधिना दैवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिनः पर्युपासते ब्रह्माज्ञावपरे यज्ञं यज्ञेनैवोपजुह्वति श्रोत्रादीनीन्द्रियाण्यन्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्य इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति सर्वाणीन्द्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते द्रव्ययज्ञास्तपोयज्ञा योगयज्ञास्तथा परे स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाश्च यतयः संशितव्रताः अपाने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे पानं तथा परे प्राणापानगतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायणाः.
Assalamu alaikum, live from Gaza. I want to acknowledge and thank
अपरे नियताहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति सर्वेऽप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षपितकल्मषाः यज्ञशिष्टामृतभुजो यान्ति ब्रह्म सनातनम् नायं लोकोऽस्त्ययज्ञस्य कुतोऽन्यः कुरु सत्तमा. एवं बहुविधा यज्ञा वितता ब्रह्मणो मुखे कर्मजान् विद्धितान् सर्वान् एवं ज्ञात्वा विमोक्ष्यसे. श्रेयान् द्रव्यमयाद्यज्ञात् ज्ञानयज्ञः परन्तप सर्वं कर्माखिलं पार्थ ज्ञाने परिसमाप्यते. तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. यज्ञात्वा न पुनर्मोहम् एवं यास्यसि पाण्डव येन भूतान्यशेषेण रक्षस्यात्मन्यथो मयि. अपि चेदसि पापेभ्यः सर्वेभ्यः पापकृत्तमः सर्वं ज्ञानप्लवेनैव वृजिनं सन्तरिष्यसि. यथैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निर्भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा. न हि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रमिह विद्यते तत्स्वयं योगसंसिद्धः कालेनात्मनि विन्दति. श्रद्धावान् लभते ज्ञानं तत्परः संयतेन्द्रियः ज्ञानं लब्ध्वा परां शान्तिम् अचिरेणाधिगच्छति. अज्ञश्च श्रद्धानश्च संशयात्मा विनश्यति. नायं लोकोऽस्ति न परो न सुखं संशयात्मनः. योगसन्न्यस्तकर्माणं ज्ञानसञ्छिन्नसंशयम् आत्मवन्तं न कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय. तस्मादज्ञानसम्भूतं हृत्स्थं ज्ञानासीनात्मनः छित्त्वैनं संशयं योगमातिष्ठोत्तिष्ठ भारत. छित्त्वैनं संशयं योगमातिष्ठोत्तिष्ठ भारत. आतिष्ठोत्तिष्ठ भारत आतिष्ठोत्तिष्ठ भारत. ॐ तत्सद् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानकर्मसन्न्यासयोगो नाम चतुर्थोऽध्यायः.
It is lovely hearing the words of the ancients sung to us across thousands of years on the battlefield of Kurukshetra 5,160 years ago. And thank you for your patience in the ads that came up. It is awkward. But just like Krishna says, one must be not attached to the fruit of action. That is, if we have this idea of some favorable result, or if we're trying to avoid some unfavorable result, then we are denying the nature of life, because life always gives rise to interruptions and things that we do not expect to come our way, which appear to take away from the moment at hand, but they are always important and a test of our own patience and firm resolution in the will of the divine. I think it is no coincidence as well that the advertisement for Gaza as well came up to support those in need. Speaking of conflict surrounding religion too, very topical indeed. It's like Krishna, or in this form, Allah has come and said, yeah, enough about renunciation. You still have a duty. We still must act, as Krishna said in the beginning of that chapter, that even the ancient ones still performed actions. Therefore, stand up, says Krishna. And in this case, we must stand up for what is right as well. I could invest in an ad blocker though. Yes, I don't know why she has ads on such a video. It'd be perfect without it. But yes. Quel dommage. Thank you, Liz, for your rose. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Bobby So, for your heart me. Your team bracelet and cheer you up. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for your quintet of roses. And Isabella, thank you for your octet of them. Thank you, Strawberry Star Bunny, for your subscription too. I am very grateful to have you here. And you're always welcome to tell me in any way I can make this space more comfortable for you. And thank you, Truth Seeker, for your heart meet. Jai Swami Narayan. Section empty set star, you ask. What is that language you say, those certain words? Same language as the Bhagavad Gita, which is humanity's mother tongue, Sanskritam, the oldest known language, besides theoretical reconstructions of Proto-Indo-European and other such proto-languages. It's been serious. Thank you for your pair of tiny dinies. Yahoo! And the link below. Thank you for your hanging lights. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That is true, I did say quel dommage, which is French. It's about the only French I know, besides bonjour and croissant. And thank you, Dansuela, for being a wonderful Sangi. Much love to you. And I thank you all for being here. I had a lovely day with you all today. Hope to see you all tomorrow around the same time. If ever there's any parts of this live stream that you feel like you could have got more out of, The recording of which will be uploaded to YouTube, specifically my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, which is the first link in the link tree in my bio. And speaking of Bhagavad Gita, we listened to the 4th chapter today, but on the ASMR channel we've done all the way up to the 7th chapter. And then many of you are waiting on the 8th chapter. I'd like to get back into recording those for you all, in case you want to listen to an English translation with some commentaries in a relaxed, whispered voice with rain sounds in the background. Peace be with you, Gregor G. May this live stream be an offering to my Ishta Devata, Radha and Krishna. Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Radhe. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment, and if any of you had any inquiries which I couldn't attend to today, you're always welcome to message me and I'll get back to you. Even by tonight if you want. Shoot me a message. I'm always there for you when I have the capacity to do so. Bye everyone. And hello and goodbye Gina. I saw you crept in. Goodbye Orla. Good night. Strawberry Star Bunny. Bye Anna. Thank you.